Good evening. I would like to call to order the March 3rd, 2025 Lake Washington School Board meeting. Let the record reflect that we have all board members present and one student rep and another on the way, I believe, James and Saneri. The board values public participation and engagement in the meetings of the board. Board meetings will continue to be live streamed on the LWSD website and are available for viewing following the conclusion of the board meeting as well. The public are always welcome to email the board at boardmembers@lwsd.org. Director Guthrie, will you please read the land acknowledgement this evening? As
Certainly.
I forgot to tell you that I was going to ask you to do that. Thank you.
The Board of Directors of Lake Washington School District acknowledges that our district is on the indigenous land of the Coast Salish peoples, who have reserved treaty rights on this land, including the Duwamish and the Snoqualmie Indian tribe. We thank these caretakers of this land who have lived here since time immemorial. We commit to continue collaborating with our Native community to teach the indigenous history of this land and these local tribes to all children of the district. We also commit to provide the best possible education for all children of Native descent who attend our schools.
Thank you, Director Guthrie. I will now entertain a motion to approve the March 3rd, 2025 agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Director LaLiberty and seconded by Director Guthrie to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please signify by voting aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We have one recognition on the agenda this evening, which is for Education Support Professionals Week. Director LaLiberty, will you please read our proclamation?
Absolutely. Whereas education support professionals are involved in nearly every aspect of education, including maintaining school buildings and grounds, providing secretarial and clerical assistance, preparing and serving meals, providing safe transportation, keeping school facilities clean and orderly, assisting in the classroom, providing a secure and healthy environment, and many other specialized services. And whereas education support professionals are instrumental in fulfilling the state's responsibility to educate all students, and whereas these dedicated individuals deserve recognition and thanks for the outstanding work they are doing for the students enrolled in Lake Washington School District, and whereas by supporting the learning environment, education support professionals are crucial partners with teachers, parents, administrators, and school boards in public schools, and whereas there are approximately 2,000 classified school employees working with and helping students in Lake Washington School District, therefore, the Board of Directors do hereby proclaim the week of March 10 through 14, 2025 as Education Support Professionals Week in Lake Washington School District.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Director LaLiberty and seconded by Director Stewart. Superintendent Holman, will you please poll the board?
I will. Director Yoakum,
Yes.
Director Stewart,
Yes.
Director LaLiberty,
Yes.
Vice President Guthrie,
Yes.
and President Choi.
Yes, motion carries. Dr. Holman, will you please review the donations this evening?
I will. So tonight we have 4 PTSAs, actually 3 PTSAs, but 2 separate donations from one PTSA, totaling over $64,000. And what I always appreciate about our donations, I generally know what all of the different line items are that are being donated to. If you see Eastlake High School, they're donating to the 9th grade Raptor Run. And so I'm really excited to follow up to find out what the 9th grade Raptor Run is, because I have no idea what that is, but it sounds amazing. And so thank you to our PTSAs. We just celebrated the founding of PTA last week at our Founders Day luncheon, and they continue to show up for our students. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Holman. We have one item on our non-consent agenda this evening, and it is a sustainability program update. Dr. Holman.
Yeah, absolutely. So tonight we have Hannah, and I hope I say your name correctly, Jungren, is that? She's our Sustainability and Resource Conservation Manager. The board adopted policy related to sustainability on May 20th, Operational Expectation 9, focused on sustainability after a series of work and process internally and externally. And part of that work really elevated the fact that we needed someone focused on sustainability and resource conservation here in Lake Washington as we really commit to and ensure that we're doing our part in this work. And so tonight is Hannah's first presentation to the board, but not her last. And so tonight is an update around some of the work that she's been involved with. And so I'll hand it over to her.
Thank you so much. Now, as Dr. Holman said, today I'm just going to be providing you with the sustainability update. So for those of you who are not familiar, I'll move over here so you can all hear me. My name is Hannah Jungren, and a little bit about my professional experience. I graduated from Pacific Lutheran University with my BA in Environmental Studies, and since then I've had the opportunity to work in a variety of different environmental fields, working for a plethora of different organizations, ranging from large corporations focusing on waste reduction to local cities and tribal governments focusing on their climate resiliency and mitigation practices. Now, even though I haven't previously worked for a school district, one of the things that really appealed to me at this particular position and what I garnered from working with other districts in my past experience is the need to really enhance and work upon the knowledge of our students. I find that for myself, it is really my job to work myself out of a job, to make sure that future generations have the common vernacular of sustainability and resource conservation. And the OE9, or the Operational Expectation Policy 9, is something that really touched home for me, especially its focus on providing those education opportunities for our students. Now, moving away from myself and instead going back to the work that the district has been focusing on, as was already previously mentioned, in 2024, the district adopted its first Operational Expectation 9, or OE9, as I'm going to refer to it from now on, as well as its first phase of its Food Services Sustainability Roadmap, or FSSR. It also was awarded an electric bus grant in 2024. Then in September, they hired their first Sustainability and Resource Conservation Program Manager, which I'm a little bit biased on, but pretty big step. And then in January, we worked to select our first contractor, GreenLink, for the district sustainability roadmap. We also had our first Sustainability Advisory Committee session, and then we also implemented our second phase of our FSSR. And I'll go into a little bit more on what each of these things means in just the next slides. But our anticipated future next steps in 2025 is continued engagement with our community, the development of that sustainability roadmap, and then to begin the inventory of our greenhouse gas emissions. Now, moving on to the OE9 that we've touched on quite a few times here. As I said, this was something that was adopted in 2024, and it had four main focuses. The first was to reduce and or mitigate the environmental impacts of district operations. The second was to enhance the resiliency of the district towards these future environmental impacts. The third was to prepare students for a more sustainable future. And then the fourth was to equip staff to support district in their endeavors. Now, what we're going to be focusing on is ways that we have been implementing the OE9. One of the ways that we've been implementing the OE9 specifically and focusing on our reduction and mitigation strategies is in our FSSR. The FSSR was adopted in response to HB 1799, which is an organics management law that is required in the sorting and collection of organic food waste. The FSSR served as a district-wide, coordinated, and systematic approach to reducing food waste, increasing organic materials, diversion rates, and improving sustainability efforts at a district-wide level. And as we briefly touched on in our timeline, there has been two main phases for our FSSR. You can see them projected here. The first phase of our FSSR was a little bit more lenient, and we're becoming a little bit more strict with our next level of our FSSR. With the FSSR, the five main intentions for it is the district coordination of food sustainability efforts, the standardization of food sustainability protocols, the reduction of our food waste, as well as our reduction of single-use items, and then the education, training, monitoring, and maintaining of this program. Now, the next aspect of implementing our OE9, or how you're seeing it in action, is our Sustainability Advisory Committee. This committee is made up of about 30 individuals. About a third of them are students, about a third of them are staff members, and about a third of them are parents and PTSA members. Now, the main intention of this advisory committee is to explore the progress that the district is currently making in regards to OE9, to discuss recommendations and considerations for future programs that are for ongoing improvements, and then to assist and guide the district in assessing courses of actions moving forward in regards to our sustainability and resource conservation programs. Now, one of the ways that we are continuing to engage with our community outside of the Sustainability Advisory Committee is in student engagement. We're working to continue our engagement with King County Green Schools, as well as providing future opportunities for students to connect both internally and externally. And there's also a plethora of different sustainability programs and practices being implemented in schools currently that we're working to support. For example, at Eastlake High School, they are currently working to implement a metalware utensils program. They're currently implementing bamboo products every other Friday, and will soon be working to have metal utensils. Lake Washington High School is actually designing their own waste receptacles. Tesla STEM High School has several different solar energy designs, such as ways that they can actually clean solar panels using their own energy and have cell phone charging that they've created. There's also several waste audits going on at multiple schools. Now, one of the last aspects that I'm going to focus on of our OE9 is the actual selection of a contractor to help us build our sustainability roadmap. Now, our sustainability roadmap had an RFP that went out that was very intensive. We had several very highly qualified applicants, but in the end, we selected our contractor, GreenLink, for a variety of different reasons. One of the reasons was their previous experience with us working on the creation of our FSSR, so they are more familiar with how we work here at the district. They also are climate action experts for schools and nonprofits and worked with several throughout the country. And they also have a very unique background in academics that really helps them to see how the school district might function differently than, say, a tribal government or a city government. For example, two of the main contacts that we work with, Karen Goldman, for example, was the Deputy Chancellor of School Planning and Development at New York City's Department of Education, whereas Anthony de Guzman was the Chief Operating Officer and Director of Operation Reform at DC Public Schools. Now, with GreenLink, they are going to be developing our sustainability roadmap, as I touched on, and this roadmap is made up of two main phases. Phase one is that they will be helping us to develop a sustainability and resource conservation action plan. This action plan will help to outline our reduction and mitigation strategies, as well as helping us enhance the resiliency of the district towards future environmental impacts. It will also helping us to support our educational goals aligning with our sustainability practices. The second phase is working with us to develop priorities that include but are not limited to a cost-benefit analysis, as well as a capacity analysis, internal and external resource availability and opportunities, an equity analysis, and stakeholder priorities. Now, I know that was a lot of information for in a pretty short period of time, so I wanted to open the floor if you have any questions. Yes?
Sound very simplistic, but the Lake Washington High School new receptacles, can you give me an idea what we're looking at?
So the
Out of
students
curiosity.
absolutely. I've done a couple different school tours, and the students are actually building it out of wood. I believe this might be part of a carpentry class, might be the actual title, but they're building out of wood. It's a very long piece that has separate holes for the different materials to go into, but they're building it from scratch. Mm-hmm. Any others? Yeah.
James.
So far, you guys have been tracking data to see how, like, the impact of these changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I get like a rough outline of how these sustainability changes have impacted our global emissions or some other statistic like that?
So to my knowledge right now, we don't have that information. That is going to be part of a sustainability roadmap, though, is to see how we are impacting versus how we can change in the future.
Director Guthrie.
Do you have a rough timeline for the action plan, the development of that? I know as we were going through the policy work, kind of over the course of the last school year, there was a lot of energy from the community and really around sort of what are the specifics going to be? Like board policy, lovely, and but when are we going to get down to those specifics? So do you have, is there a timeline that you're thinking of, like when there might be some more of those specifics, or is it sort of working through the initial stages and just trying to scope the work? Can you speak to that a bit?
I have to double check whether or not the RFP has a specific end date, but work is commencing now. GreenLink is actually going to be coming to visit us this very week. We also have our second Sustainability Advisory Committee on Thursday, so they'll get to meet our Sustainability Advisory Committee that day and start to tour different schools and facilities at that point as well.
Director Stewart.
A few years back, we were having troubles, I know it's at least at the high school level, I don't know if it was middle schools too, but probably. There had been a federal requirement that each lunch served had to have a vegetable and a fruit, if I recall correctly. It's been a number of years now. And there was a tremendous amount of waste, and at the time we were trying to figure out how to give it to food banks, and that wasn't working out. Is there any kind of an update on that situation? Do you have any feel for if we're doing better?
I unfortunately don't have that information. My
Okay.
best guess with that would be with nutritional services, but I
Okay.
can definitely follow up with them on that.
Just thought I'd check. I didn't know how much was going to waste, now we could give away.
No, that's a great question.
Thank you so much. I did have a couple of questions. One was when we were doing study sessions previously around sustainability efforts across the district, we talked a lot about different organizations that we partner with. And for example, McKinstry came and gave an update. And I was curious how and if they will fit into the planning around like our future sustainability roadmap.
So we would definitely have to investigate how exactly each organization is going to play a role. But one of the aspects of the sustainability roadmap is to look into internal and external partners and how they're going to support us, how they have supported us. So there's the potential that they definitely could play a role.
And then I had one other question. So I'm curious, and we can go into details maybe when we're monitoring OE9, but I was curious around the contract work with GreenLink and correct me if I'm wrong, did you say that they were the ones that came up with our with the FSSR?
They assisted in the completion of it, yes.
They assisted in it. Okay. I recall, and I might be wrong, you can totally correct me or if somebody knows, I might be wrong, but there was some challenges with the FSSR initially because some of the like recommendations just didn't align with what our schools were like built to do. Like some of our schools don't have washing machines, right? And the recommendation was like to use dishes and utensils, but they actually aren't built to support some of these things. And so there's just like a discrepancy or an alignment, I guess, between some of the recommendations in that particular report and like what the district can actually do or execute. And so I was curious, knowing that the same consultant has been selected for our sustainability roadmap, then is the process going to be different?
I think one of the benefits in having a sustainability and resource conservation manager is that Hannah can actually be side by side with GreenLink as we go through this work. If you recall, the FSSR kind of started without a lot of fanfare, I'll say, as we became aware of really where the process was, they were pretty far down the road. So we didn't have the greatest of opportunity to really have inputs into it. And so I feel pretty comfortable and confident with Hannah in place. She's partnering with them that we'll have a chance to really understand how the recommendations are coming out. And it's not bad to have aspirational recommendations as long as they're cited that way, because I would assume and I would hope that there's recommendations that really push us as an organization, even if we're not there yet, but they just have to be referenced as such, not an assumption that we can turn around and do something that takes capital improvements or even the FSSR right now, implementing that, with a universal design across the district. We're just not equipped to do that yet. And so implementation implementation planning will be important for anything that comes out of that plan, as well as continuing to implement FSSR.
I will say as well, one of the unique aspects of this is we've been able to hear that feedback from the FSSR, and we really are intending with this sustainability roadmap to kind of bring the community along, so to speak. That's one of the reasons that they're coming in person, one of the reasons they're going to meet our Sustainability Advisory Committee and actually tour some of the schools so they can get a bit more of an in-person experience with how our schools operate.
Any other questions? Director Stewart.
Just a point of information, I don't know if it ever reached to you once you came on staff or not, but last fall when then King County Councilman John Optigrove was running for Public Lands Commissioner, which he finally won after 2 or 3 recounts or whatever, I had a quick discussion with him about our green teams at our schools, and his eyes lit up. And he'd love to have a pilot program based out of our district to work with, to show the various other schools or districts around the country, or around the state rather. So just a point of information. I don't know if it ever made it to you or not, but let me know if you need some assistance.
That would be great to get his contact information. I appreciate that.
I have one final question. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Actually, it's not really a question. I think it's more of a request for, I think, when we're monitoring OE9. I think a big piece of feedback that we got when we were coming up with the policy was an interest in having somebody in your role really to help with the coordination of the kind of disparate activities that different schools are doing and trying to make it more cohesive and having similar programs available across the district versus at individual locations. And like when you talk about the plethora of efforts that are currently being implemented across the district right now, there is a really big interest, I think, in the community to try to standardize some of that. And I'd be curious to see what the plan is around trying to systematize some of that.
Absolutely.
Or a better understanding of what we do.
No, that's a really good point. And that's definitely something that we've heard from the community as well, as just the fact that a lot of these programs, people don't even know that they're going on. And sometimes we don't even know that something is going on because it's really being pushed by the students or the staff members. But we have heard the need for a standardized programs or opportunities. And that's definitely something we're looking into.
Any other questions? Director Guthrie.
Kind of a follow-up on that one, to knowing that we span different municipalities, if it might be helpful to know too if any of the inconsistencies are being driven by, for example, a school being located in Sammamish, which has different policies around, I don't even know, but you know, like I know in some places the composting isn't available commercially, like I'm talking about houses now, and I don't know if that applies to schools. So just if there's some of those inconsistencies, it may just be top of mind, especially since we're meeting with one of our cities today, and we do that to understand if there's things that we should be bringing up with our cities or hindrances to that consistency that are being driven at a level that maybe is not under our direct control.
No, that's a really good point. I'll definitely have to look into that. I appreciate that.
I think that's all the questions.
Well,
thank you so
all
much.
so
It was so
much.
nice to meet you. So today is a very short board meeting because we have an extended study session following this with Redmond City Council and Mayor Angela Burney. So the board will plan to meet next at our extended study retreat, which is going to be from March 14th through the 16th. Followed by on March 24th, 5 o'clock study session and 7 o'clock board meeting. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn the March 3rd, 2025 board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Director LaLiberty and seconded by Director Stewart that we adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by voting aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. The meeting is adjourned at 5:24. Thank you, everyone.